2024 awaits. Hashtag business goals. Hello, everyone. My name is Tessa. I'm a marketing strategist for IdeaPros. And today I have Miss Kai Alday, who's a business coach and honestly the only person who can teach me how to enjoy goals. I think to date, we are talking about goal setting and how beneficial it can be for your business. I am going to say before we even dive into her vast knowledge that I am one of those people that avoids goals like you wouldn't believe. And there's probably a good reason for that, because I've set goals like the way everyone else says to do it, and it doesn't work for me. So if you're one of those people, I challenge you to stay on and listen to how Kai explains this goal setting process, because it is possible. And I want that for you guys, for everyone who watches us on IdeaPros on this show every single week. I want you guys to achieve those business goals and see that success that is in your future. So Kai is actually over at Move to CEO. I work with her. I am so blessed that I have a business coach that is literally with me almost daily. But she works with people, and we're going to talk about these goal setting. It's almost the end of the year. So Kai, give us a background about why goals don't work in the first place.
Oh, well, I think you already said it. We're going to really dive into the details of why goals don't work and why people fail, and then how you can actually fix that. But it's really, at the end of the day, we do goals wrong. Like, we have this idea of what we want, and we're like, this is the goal, this is the life I want. And then the goal is just so big. And the reality is that sometimes we don't temper what that really looks like. So for example, a lot of people, guaranteed, if this is one of you guys, you probably have one of these two goals. I'd love for you guys to comment. Any of you guys have okay, so I am new to business and I want to now make $1 million in a year. Or have you heard this before? If you have, I'm sure you guys have heard this or read it in a post somewhere, met somebody like this. Or maybe it's like, hey, it took me 20 years to gain 100 pounds, but now I want to lose it in 2 months, right? Like, the goals are sometimes, I love that people dream big, but we let ourselves down when we don't do it right. Okay. So that's what we're going to be diving into today.
I love it. And Odin, I see you over there, and you mentioned SMART goals. So Kai might make you a little angry on the no,
I don't get angry. I have corporate PTSD. So SMART goals are just, I can't. But that is how typically I do goals. I just can't call them that because it makes me like, whoo, that's not good.
Well, I think that's, yeah.
Too.
I was gonna say there are some parts of SMART goals that we're going to talk about that are good for sure. And if you're a SMART goals person and they work for you, awesome. Like, Odin, I have a feeling that you're great at goal setting anyway. And that, that's a big part of how you can, because you have achieved them. I think the problem, or what I see, is that I have not achieved a goal. And so I am becoming more and more bitter to goals if I haven't achieved it. And so this really, what Kai goes through, really challenges you to think about it in a different way so that you can achieve it and you can actually come out of it in having a positive experience. So hang in there with us. Yes, you're getting better at them every day. It's hard. Goal setting is hard.
Yes, but hopefully you won't feel that way at the end of this. So let's start from the very top, and we're going to actually start with the goal, and we can use Tessa as a guinea pig if she wants to. But
yes,
essentially, when we're talking about 2024, a lot of you are going to sit down, you're going to write your goals. And here's the first thing that I would tell you to do. Is definitely, I always love to dreamstorm, and really that's just a brainstorm, but it's really allowing yourself to kind of not set parameters on what you want, right? So you're just writing out, what is it that I love to do? And then I want you to figure out, as you kind of read through that, like, what is it that you really want for this year? Because it's nice to have the dream of like, I want to have this much money. I want to look this way. I want to, and I have 20 goals, but what actually matters to you right now? And something that I always get asked is like, how do I decide what goal I should focus on? And I would say, typically when you look at your goals, there's going to be some that have a timeline. It's just a natural timeline. So for example, I want to be able to pay off my debt or something like that. Like, you have to understand what that really looks like. So there may be a natural timeline to that, right? Like, okay, that's probably going to take me about 3 to 4 years. It doesn't mean you can't start, but there's going to be a natural thing that happens there. So you can look at it. The other way I look at it is, what's going to give me the biggest bang for my buck? So that's how I decide on the goal to begin with. If there is a goal in there that if I were to achieve this goal, it would like already get me like all these other 5 things, it would put me ahead, then I'm going to choose that one. But that's me, because I am kind of a go-getter and an achiever. Like, I have that personality. If you're not, I would say like, just focus on one goal, and which is the most meaningful and important to you, and that's it. Okay. So that's where you start off with the goals. But what is it, the first thing that you should do once you've figured out what those goals are is, number one, what? Like, yeah. What is the question? What do you really, really want? Like, what is this goal going to actually do for you? What does it really look like? And this is really about getting clear. So Tessa, I know that there are some people who are really like, they have to see it or have an example. So do you want to kind of be the guinea pig?
Yes, I will. Okay.
So what's like the one goal that you have that we're going to focus on today?
Okay. So I'm not going to pick the monetary goal, if you're okay with that. So we're not going to go with the money goal. Okay. I want to work 3 days a week.
Okay. 3
days. And so have, Monday and Friday off.
Yes, I like it. I like it. Okay. So, can you get really clear on what that looks like then in your business? So does that mean you want to work 8 hours a day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Does that mean you're willing to work 16 hours a day? Like, what does that really look like for you?
So good question, because, we did this. She helped me with a goal setting session literally yesterday, and I thought through this and I didn't figure out that number. So that's hilarious. And it was in my head. So she hasn't worked through this one with me. I think it would mean at least 12-hour days for 3 days a week, at least.
Is that what
I'm not even sure.
Or that's what you think is?
I think that's what would have to, like, a logical path. We'll put it that way. Okay. But I think I haven't even thought this through. I just said, hey, I want to work 3 days a week, whatever that means. So now we're even going into more depth.
Okay. So you want to work 3 days a week, and you're thinking you'd be working 12 hours a day. And what does this actually do for you in terms of what this looks like in life? Like, why the 3 days?
Why 3 days? Because I want to be able to spend time with my fiance. So he does have a weird schedule, and the only days we can typically hang out are on weekdays. So it means my weekends would be a Monday and a Friday instead. So it is spending more time with him and my dogs, many dogs.
Okay. Yeah, you do have a lot of dogs. So that's okay. That's good. So she got really clear. And here's what I'll give you another example. So I always talk about this example. If you've ever watched me talk about goals, which I've been talking about for like literally 7 years now, but I always talk about the example of, I want a farm. Okay. So I have this dream in my mind, like, I want a farm. And so me and my husband actually literally just talked about this last night. We're like, we really want to buy a piece of land next year. Right. And so, but what does that really look like? Because I think I want a farm, right? But I need to now understand, what are the parameters of that goal? Like, what are the specifics? And this is, Odin, where your SMART goals, right, come in. So getting very specific. And what does that really look like? So do I want a farm in Texas, in Tennessee, in Hawaii? Because that changes what I actually have to do to get it, right? And then when you figure this piece out, like, what do I really want to do with a farm? Do I actually want to wake up every day and milk a cow? And, because I think sometimes we create goals based off of a life that we dream about. And we don't actually consider the cost of that life. So for example, you see somebody and they look amazing and they're really fit, right? And you're like, okay, I want to be like this person, but you're not considering the fact that this person probably works out like, I don't know, an hour to 2 hours a day. They like, maybe their diet is very strict, like whatever it looks like. And you're not willing to give up certain things. So you don't really want to look like them. You want to, but you don't want to do what you have to do. And this is why you have to get very clear. So I want the farm, but I don't necessarily want to wake up at 5 a.m. and worry about a cow or try to do all the other things that happens with having a farm. So is it really the goal that I want a farm? No. The goal is that I want a piece of land, right? And now the land doesn't have to be like 1,000 acres, right? It could be like, will 1 to 2 suffice? Like really getting super clear on what that goal is and why you want it makes you think about it. Number one, it's not just some frivolous goal of, I want to lose 100 pounds or I want to make $1 million. It's okay. Why is this important? What does that really look like?
And I did that. I want to make $1 million was one of my goals. And God knows that was on my list of things that I said daily affirmations of, like, I want to be a Christ-focused millionaire, whatever it was. But then I had to think, what is that in my world right now? That means too much work. So my goal had to change to what aligns with what I need in my life right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to work more. I want to work smart, and I want to work so that I can help people, but I need that time because time's like your biggest commodity, right? So I had to change.
I always challenge Tessa because she says it every time. I don't have enough time. And so maybe sometimes the cost is time if she were to keep her business exactly as it is. But sometimes the cost is discomfort. So for example, Tessa like charges super low, if any of you know, and some of you like go to her because of that. And but her value is very high. And so then I would say, well, Tessa, you can still you don't have to sacrifice the goal, but you might have to sacrifice your discomfort in order to have the conversation, to start charging more, to start thinking about what that looks like. And that might be like, okay, maybe I need to get further educated in this piece because then the value becomes more for the client. Or maybe I need to hire here. And, so it really depends on what that looks like. So it's not always about sacrificing the goal. Sometimes it's about really understanding what you're going to have to sacrifice along the way for yourself.
I do need to raise the price. That's for sure. That's a fact. Okay. So Odin says his wife, him and his wife want to buy a chateau in southern France.
Oh, I love that.
I love it. That's a great goal.
I'm going to be your neighbors.
Yes, she wants to travel and work abroad. So we're going to make that happen. Okay, so now we have our what. We're clear on it, and it aligns with us and what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay, so number 2, this is step 2, and there's only 3. So number 2 is how. So how are you actually planning on achieving this goal, right? And so I think a lot of times we know, okay, so I'll give you an example because I think everyone's going for weight loss at the end of 2023. But you want to lose weight. And how are you going to do it? I'm going to go to the gym. How many times? I'm going to go 5 days a week. Okay. And you know what kind of exercise? I'm going to be weightlifting. I've been following this person. Okay. But you haven't stepped into the gym in about 2 years, but you're all of a sudden going to wake up January 1st and be like, time to go to the gym 5 days a week, doing an exercise I've never done before. So you really, this process is where you weed out the actual action steps. So in real life, Tessa, how are you planning on making this happen? Like,
okay.
3 days.
Well, I started the process. So I did block calendars for Monday and Friday. Guess what I'm doing right now, though? I'm on a live on a Friday. So am I doing the steps? Have I figured out how to make this happen? Probably not fully yet. So maybe it's not Monday and Friday. Maybe I have to adjust that. But I think it is, literally blocking time in the calendar is one of my next things, is like figure out what that looks like and which days that would be, and start reducing the number of appointments that I take on other days.
So how is that? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say also, I think it's about figuring out, the one to many type approach, which is like, I'm not a one to one. My hours are just you and me, and we're
Mhm.
meeting. It may be a group environment. So that might be a better place to get me into that type of work schedule.
Yeah.
So those are my two. That's all I have so far.
Okay. So then she has to, like, what I would tell you is now you figured out what the goal is. You figured out what really, how you got really clear on what that really means and looks like in your life. And now you're figuring out the how am I going to actually accomplish this? So you heard her say she did a few steps already. So she's blocked out the calendar, although she's working
Like
right now.
Odin said, we might have to make these on Thursdays now. It's true.
But but she's also going to have to figure out the next piece. So she then has to sit down, and this is what all of you can do with your own goals is how am I going to do this? Is really the how is now you're going through the process of asking yourself all these questions. So how am I going to do it? Like, so physically she's figured out, okay, I need to block out the calendar and only schedule on these days. But now she has to figure out how am I going to make this happen in terms of the workload on those 3 days? How am I going to make this happen in terms of what's the price point, how many clients? Like now we have all of the questions that are coming out based off of the how, right? Because it's not just like, okay, I'm going to take my calendar off on these 2 days and ta-da, I'm now working
Well,
3
yeah,
days a
you've
week.
reduced the amount of work. Now we have to make more in the time that I do have. So,
Exactly.
like you said, I think we talked about this too, like a play with what type of income that would be, right? So you have to play with your numbers and see what
Mhm.
does this equate to. Same thing if you have a goal of $1 million, like you have to break this down. What does that mean you have to do in month 1, in month 2, and take into consideration that process. So a lot of us set really big goals, and this has been my mistake every single time. I
Mhm.
set a goal, but I don't break down how to accomplish it and make it bite-sized pieces. Like, this is step 1 of achieving this goal. I always jump in like I am going to work out 5 days a week with that really hard weightlifting task every time, and I make it like a week, and I'm like really frustrated about why I can't keep this goal. So I love that Kai breaks it down this way. So the questions, like we're asking ourselves what has to change, right? In that what we have to change in us to be able to hit the goal, and like baby steps.
Yeah. You gotta, now that you've broken down the process and you've really figured out how are you going to do this, right? Now you can say, okay, like, so for example, something that a lot of people do, and this isn't even yearly goals, this is just people who come to us like, okay, I need to market my business and I need you guys to help me and do my social media. And we're like, okay, great. It's going to take at least 3 to 6 months to get traction if we're talking about just strictly organic growth and social media. Okay. But people want to come and they have this goal that like you're going to come in there and you're going to fix it with your magic wand that, I would be charging way more if I had a magic wand, number one. Number two is like, then I could tell you it happened in one day. Like, really. So we have to really understand that how process is helping us figure out what this really looks like. Because sometimes we just say, okay, I want to make $1 million. How am I going to do it? I'm going to do it by starting social media. And then in our mind, we think, okay, I started social media. I put up 4 posts this month. It didn't work. That's it. I'm out of here. Right. Or we did it for the first week. Nobody showed up. I'm done. And that is what, first of all, if you're very clear on the what, right? Like it's kind of like what's his name? Simon Sinek and the why, right?
Yes.
If you are tied to the what of what's happening, the why, like that is something that is like it's a non-negotiable essentially.
It's
Like if
gonna
I
happen.
really, yeah, it's gonna happen. It has to happen. It may take me longer than a year, but it's gonna happen. Then you're gonna be more committed to really figuring out the how. Because you can't just say, okay, oh, here's the how. Okay, I'm going to do social media. It didn't work after a month or 2 months. Now I'm going to give up. Like if you're committed to the what, you're going to really work through the how. Okay, that didn't work. Let me try this. Let me pivot here. Let's try this again. Maybe I need to give it more time. Like you're more willing and you're probably going to have more staying power if you really
Yes.
figure this out. And the how is meant to help dispel your fantasies of like, I'm going to go to the gym and all of a sudden it's going to happen. Right.
Yep.
Be really
Yep.
honest. Yeah.
It is. The how does. I mean, and that discourages people sometimes
Yeah.
just in writing down the how. They get overwhelmed by what all the things that they have to accomplish. So if we're prioritizing it, some of these hows naturally fall before the other, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna grow your business and it's gonna involve social media, you have to set up the accounts.
Yeah.
Like it's an easy one, a little baby chunk.
Yeah.
So you can't accomplish all these other things or have your content, be all places omnipresent if you don't start with one at least. And so I love when Kai is talking about the how. Like for me, I have to, figure out what things can I do that are going to be more profitable for me so that I can work 2 days less. I mean, still, I'm probably going to work a lot on those 3 days, but it's like you have given yourself this chunk, you're going to work on that thing. And then number 3 comes into play.
Yeah. Okay. So you figure out what the how is. So what's going to be your how, Tessa?
My how is
that you're dedicating.
is to raise prices.
Oh, okay. So how is she going to be able to work only 3 days? This is very good. She's going to raise
I'm
her
like, she said
prices.
the word. Oh my
I
gosh.
love
I'm sweating
it.
just thinking about it.
She's like, okay, I have to pause, guys.
Okay, but that's half of it is admitting what you need to do, right?
Yeah. So she has to raise her prices. I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it. So she has to raise her prices, which also means she has to get very clear on what that price needs to be. So now she kind of has like the groundwork of what this looks like. Then she has to figure out the offer. So there's all these little things in there. And now that we have those little baby steps, she can now get into this last part. And this is where goals live or die. 100%. This is why you don't achieve a goal. First of all, you didn't get microscopic and very specific with it. And here's really though where they live and die. And it's number 3 is habits. So for example, so she said, okay, so now I have to go and raise my prices. Now from that, there's a lot of things that on my checklist come up is like, okay, what does that look like? What are you going to be charging for? Is there an hourly session? I think Odin said you could do group sessions.
Yes.
Okay.
That is.
Okay. So then from there, the habit then becomes, what is the habit you need to create to make this happen?
Well, the scary habit of this is that discomfort piece that you were talking about. And, be creating a habit of being able to say that confidently and maybe put it out there in more places, change prices publicly or kind of commit to it. But it's a little harder of one than most because the habit is being confident. And that's an internal habit.
Well, the habit might be having the sales conversation with the new price. So it may be the habit of saying that price over and over again, that when people start asking you, you're able to just let it roll off your tongue. So I have a price for strategy and it's the same. I have a range so that I can be more flexible depending on the client and what their needs are, but it always rolls off my tongue and it's the same price, right? And so understanding what it is that is the obstacle to reaching that goal, to the execution of the how, right? That's where you start. That's where the habit needs to come in. So the habit
let's
might
say
be
that again. It's the obstacle. The obstacle itself. So in your gym scenario, if it's like you can't even get to the gym, then you're actually like getting in the car.
Yeah. So the goal wouldn't be to go. So if I haven't been to the gym, and she's talking about something that I've shared before, I will just share it with you guys right here. I'm not embarrassed by it. So I wanted to be able to go to the gym and I wanted to go all the time, like, after work, 5 days a week. And I used to work a lot. And so I started like, okay, this is my goal. I'm going to do it. And so I would say, I set a time like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym right after work. So I would go home and I would, have my bag already ready. And then that didn't work because then I'd get to the house and be like, I'm tired. I'm going to sit for 15, which ended up being a never. And then I was like, okay, I'll bring my bag to work. And then, so progressively I had to start changing what I was trying to actually do. So then it became, okay, now I had the clothes on, I was at the gym. So I first had to establish a habit of driving myself to the gym because I was so resistant to going that it was an obstacle. Now, once I established this, and it was almost like, do you guys know when you're like driving somewhere and you automatically go somewhere without even thinking about it? That is what a habit is, right? It's not the like, oh, where am I supposed to? The habit is the natural thing that happens for you. So it's not 21 days. I'm going to just spell that right now. 21 days starts the habit. It does not create a complete habit. Okay. So with that said, I then was like, okay, I'm at the gym. Awesome. I've been wasting this gas for how many weeks now? And so then it was like, okay, I had to get out of the car. So here's the thing is the goals were microscopic. I just had to get over the next obstacle. So the next obstacle was walking into the gym. That's it, you guys.
No, and I had this
crazy.
too. I had this too during COVID. I literally never went to the gym. And even after COVID, I could never get back into the gym. I know this is a very real thing. It just never, I could not get past that fear to be like, hey, I want to go hang out with people that are breathing everywhere.
Yeah.
It was very real.
Yeah. So what is that small habit? What is the obstacle first? So for Tessa, it isn't that she gets calls all the time, people that want to work with her. So the obstacle that she has is saying the price. Knowing her own value, right? And saying the price. So what is the habit she needs to create is having the conversation. And sometimes what does that look like? Okay, every day I'm going to make an appointment and I'm going to make sure that I say my price, right? Like that might be the habit. The habit might be that I'm just practicing saying it over and over again until it comes out naturally. Like whatever the obstacle is that you are experiencing, that's the habit you work on first.
Yeah.
Once it's established, you move to the next one.
I think you brought up like the workout one. Maybe it's that you don't know how to use weights and that's what you're going to do, but you don't know how. So you're going to get a trainer or you're going to find somebody to be a workout buddy who's comfortable with it. So I think a lot of us get stuck on a goal because we don't know how to do it. So we can't even get past that obstacle. I don't know how to create a sales funnel. I don't know how to talk, how to set up an ad, whatever that thing is that's holding you back from your end goal. We might have to get help with.
Yes, 100%. And sometimes the habit is asking for help. Like it's getting into the mode of asking for help. That's really what it comes down to, and being okay with that or recognizing something. But the habit is where a goal lives or dies. Like I stand by that, because if my habit is I want to make sales in my business, and let's say that my outbound marketing is I'm going to reach out to 10 people a day, then the habit I'm establishing is sitting on the computer, reaching out to those 10 people, sending a message to 10 people. Just sitting at the computer is the first habit, and opening that conversation bar. That's it.
Absolutely. And this is
establish that, then I can go on to the next habit. Right?
This is so good. This is so good because it's going to evolve. And for you to hit your end goal, you're going to have to keep doing it. So, but I think you feel accomplished each of those mini like goals that you have, the mini obstacle that you're trying to get past, and the end goal. And but I know we're right at the bottom of the hour, so I am going to finish up for y'all. Don't worry. But I could go with Kai. We could talk about this all day. I love listening to Kai on her coaching anyhow. But the goal is more of a target as opposed, it's a direction, right? So we tend to focus so much on this is my goal. I have to achieve this goal, but that's pointing you in the right direction. And your habits are actually what makes the goal happen.
100%. Yep.
So I'm curious in the chat, when you guys are catching the replay, I want to know what your goals are. So I know Odin wants to have a nice little place in France. Let me know what your goals are for 2024. I'd love to hear and kind of stay following up with you guys. I love having Kai always, but if you want to go get more information, we have a really cool event on Monday, the social virality event, and you guys are welcome. It's by invite only, but you all here over on the IdeaPros channel, you're more than welcome to come. We're talking about how to get your message out to more people. We'll put that link in the chat for you all. But I'm so glad. Thank you, Kai, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you all next week. We're here every Friday for now. Every Friday at noon Pacific time at the moment, right? I take Mondays off. That's true. Oh, we are doing it on Monday, even if it is. See, I'm not really good at this. Like this whole goal setting, like literally, I'm not good. I'm really not good at making this happen. I'm like, sure, let's
Odin, you're not helping her confidence here. But he is helping you see where the flaws are.
Yes. Why have I not been able to accomplish these goals yet? I don't know. Yes, exactly. And Kai can hold me. This is one thing I forgot to say, and this is really important. Have someone who can help you be accountable to those goals. Like Kai knows, Odin knows now. Every time I show up on Friday, he's like, Tessa, are you still working? But if someone else is out there to say, hey, how's it going? How's this, unstick you when you're in that process? Like, that's what I love about masterminds and being around people, coaches. Like, everyone should have a coach, period. Whether it's a business coach or a confidence coach or a sales coach, like these people help you get over those hurdles and get past yourself, because we are our biggest obstacle. Honestly, like I have not accomplished my goals because I'm the one I can't get past it. So I'm excited. I look forward to 2024, and big things are going to happen 100%. I know it. You know it out there. Big things are happening. You just tell me what your big thing is, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, everyone.